Hi friends, this is Dr. Talluri Upender, Associate Professor in CMR College of Engineering and Technology in the Department of CSE. So today's topic is arrays. Before going to discuss an array, what is the need of arrays here? Before that, here when we declare a variable as any data type, for example int k, so where k is the integer variable, it have the capability to hold only integer value. So k is equal to 10. I want to work with the three integers here. So I am going to assign the three values to this one. K is equal 10, k is equal 20, k is equal 30. But finally when we access the value of k, we will get only 30 only. What is the reason for that? Means here where k is the normal integer variable, it have the capability to hold only one value at a time. That means whenever you want to work with the multiple values here, we have to take multiple variables here. So for example, whenever you want to do the sum of three numbers, you have to declare the three variables to represent the three values here, a comma b comma c. Later you have to write that a is equal to 10, b is equal to 20, c is equal to 30. That means every variable have the capability to hold only one value at a time. Okay, so if there are three values, okay, three variables you have to take. For example, in a class, the strength of the class is 60 is there. I want to maintain the students 60 students marks. So in that case, I need to take 60 variables here. So it becomes very difficult task for us. It takes time and space. To avoid this one, there is one solution for this, to represent all the 60 elements by giving some only unique name. That can be done with the help of the concept called arrays. What is an array? Means here an array is a set of elements here, set of different set of elements of same data type. That means here 10 comma 20 comma 30. How many elements you want to take in the set? You can take that number of elements, required number of elements. Okay, only condition is here all the elements in the set must belong to the same data type. We cannot take one is integer, one is float, one is character, like that we cannot define that. Whenever you want to work with the similar type of data, then only we have to use the arrays concept. So an array is a set of elements of same data type, and all these elements are represented by a unique name. No need to take the different names to represent different values here. So you have to take only one name. How to declare here? So in this here, declaration of array. Before that here, there are two types of arrays are there. First I will write the definition of an array. An array is a set of elements or collection of elements of same data type of same data type and are represented by a unique name and are represented by a unique name. Okay, how to declare? Before going to discuss about the declaration and initialization like that, we need to go for the types of arrays here. Types of arrays. There are majorly two types of arrays are there. One is one-dimensional arrays. And the second one is multi-dimensional arrays. One-dimensional arrays and multi-dimensional arrays. Now we'll discuss one by one. First we go for one-dimensional array. Of course, whether it is one-dimensional array or multi-dimensional array, the array elements can be stored in continuous locations in the memory. That is the major advantages of arrays here, because all the data should be available at single place. We can able to access the data within no time. means within less time we can access the data, because all the data will be available at one place only. Okay, no need to move, no need to travel from one place to other place in the memory to access the data. Okay, it saves our time here. That is a major advantage whether it is one or multi-dimensional array. Now we'll discuss one by one. First one is one dimensional arrays. One dimensional arrays. So one dimensional arrays, the elements in the set must be represented either vertically or horizontally. Okay, the elements in the set can be represented either vertically or horizontally. 1 comma 2 comma 3 4 5 and so on. Okay, we can represent the elements either vertically or horizontally. So now first so we need to learn that one dimensional array step by step. First one, declaration. How to declare a one dimensional array. Declaration, how to declare that means here data type. I will write the syntax for this. Syntax, data type followed by array name, and followed by subscript value, and followed by semicolon. So this is the general syntax of declaration of a one dimensional array. If you take that example here, means where data type represents any data type, that may be either integer or character or double or float. Okay, what type of data you want to take, you can define the data type name. Array name, it is an identifier which represents the name of the array. Okay, and a subscript value, what is the subscript value here? Subscript value is always represents an unsigned integer, always it is positive. Okay, it represents the size of the array. Size of the array means here how many elements you are going to take in that array, that can be represented by subscript value. Okay, it is always unsigned integer. Now here we'll write one example here. Example, data type int. I want to work with the 10 integers, so you have to declare that data type name is int followed by name of the array. So I want to take that array name is some k of how many integer values you want. You can specify the size here. I want to work with the 10 integers here, so I am writing that value is 10. After that, semicolon, int k of 10. That means here where k is the name of the array, it have the capability to represent how many integers? 10 integers. Okay, if you want to work with float values here, you can write that data type name is float and f of 20. F of 20, where f is the float variable. Okay, array type float variable, it have the capability to hold how many elements here, means that is 20 float values. All the 20 values must belongs to float data type only. Okay, like that you can declare one dimensional array. Through this declaration, what happens internally, that is important. Okay, now through this declaration, first whatever the task you are going to perform, first we need to reserve the space in the memory. Okay, that can be done with the help of declaration statement. So when we declare a one dimensional array, so internally what happens here, means it reserve the space in the memory. So for this example, int k of 10, how much space it allocates in the memory here, means here for example, if you are working on 64-bit format systems, then each integer occupies 4 bytes of space. Now here in this example, int k of 10 means 10 are the integers. Okay, each integer requires how many bytes of space? 4 bytes of space here. So here how many integers are there here? 10 integers are there. So for k array k, how many elements it allocates, how many bytes it allocates here, means here it allocates total 10 into 4, 10 4 ja 40, 10 into 4, 10 4 ja 40 bytes. 40, what is this 40 means here? 40 bytes. 40 bytes of space will allocate here. Okay, all the 40 bytes must be continuous locations. Contiguous locations means sequential bytes only. Okay, if the space is not available in continuous locations, this will not allocate even 1 byte of space also. Okay, so that is the what is the advantage like this means here, because all the 10 elements will be available at a single place. We can able to access that data within less amount of time. Okay, so here that is the main advantages of arrays here. Now these 40 bytes can be divided into 10 partitions here. 40 bytes can be divided into 10 partitions. Each partition size is how much means here 4 bytes here, because each integer occupies 4 bytes of space. So each partition size is 4 bytes here. Up to how many partitions are there here? Total 10 partitions. Okay, each partition size is 4. 4 into 10, 4 10 40. Okay, now in this way the memory will be allocated. Okay, in the same way, in case of float also, it allocates for float it reserves 4 bytes of space. For float also it reserves how many bytes of space here? Means same 40 bytes of space here. Again these 40 bytes can be divided into 4 partitions here, 10 partitions total. Okay, that is for float. Okay, so here through this declaration what happens means here we can declare one dimensional array in this way. Okay, if you declare one dimensional array in this way, what happens internally means it reserves the space in the memory. So once the space is allocated, then what is the next step? We need to store the data in the allocated space. So how that means initialization, that is called initialization. Now the next step is second step, step 2. Step 2. What is that? Initialization. What is initialization? Initialization. Initialization means the process of storing the data in the allocated space in that one dimensional array is called initialization. This initialization, how many ways we can initialize the data in the one dimensional array? Means here there are two methods are there. Okay, there are two types are there here. One is static initialization, and the second one is dynamic initialization. Static initialization and dynamic initialization. Now first come to the static initialization. What is static initialization? Means here the process of initializing a one dimensional array before the compilation is called static initialization. The process of initializing a one dimensional array before compilation is called static initialization. Again in this static initialization, again there are two methods are there, two ways to initialize that one dimensional array. Okay, in static initialization two methods are there. So one is within the declaration, within the declaration, and the second method is after the declaration. After the declaration, within the declaration and after the declaration. Within the declaration means here, within the declaration means here, see that example, or you can write another way. Within the declaration, within the declaration means here first we have to declare that array. Okay, now example, int k of, I want to take that 5 elements here is equal to, I want to initialize that k of 5 is equal to 10, 15, 32, 25, 18, like this. So here I want to take work with the five integers here. I am taking the 5 integers. Okay, I initialized that within the declaration of the array only. This concept is called within the declaration we are initializing that. Okay, so another way also is there here, or you may or may not specify the subscript value in the declaration here. That is k of 5 is equal to, sorry, don't specify the value here. K is equal to, you can write that 10 comma 15 comma 32 comma 25 comma 18. You may initialize that array in this way also. So here that means the subscript value, the size of the array is optional when we are going to initialize the elements in the array within the declaration. If you want, you can specify that, otherwise not required. That means when we go for this concept here, if you are unable to find out how many elements you are going to take in the set in advance, in that case then leave that, don't specify the subscript value. So while execution of this statement, the compiler will take care of that. How many elements are there in your set, it counts that. Based on that, that count value will be multiplied with the size of the corresponding array data type. According to that, it reserves the space in the memory. Okay, here 5 elements are there. It counts that 5 elements are there. 5 multiplied with the size of this integer, that is 5 4 ja 20. 20 bytes will be allocated in the memory. That will take care of by the compiler itself. Okay, no need to bother about that. Okay, next. So while working with this one here, we need to take that. This is the declaration. That's it. Okay. Next concept is after the declaration. After the declaration. After the declaration. So after the declaration means what? First we need to declare that one dimensional array int k of 5. K of 5. Okay, after that you have to initialize that elements into that array. So here how to initialize that means k of 0 is equal to 10, k of 1 is equal to 15, k of 2 is equal to 32, k of 3 is equal to 25. Next, k of 4 is equal to 18. So here we can initialize that array, okay, after the declaration in this way. Of course, this is the longest procedure. We won't prefer this one, but we need to know this method also is there. Okay, whenever we require, we can do like this also. Okay. Now here once declaration is initialization is completed, then what is the next step here in this only you can learn about that accessing the elements here. Accessing the elements. Accessing the elements of an array. Accessing the elements. How to access the elements of an array here means here when we are, I want to access so particular element in the set. Particular element. For example, I want to access that number or element 25 in the given set. So how to access that here? For example, I want to take that int some a. I want to assign that a is equal to this particular element I want to assign 25. How can I assign that? That means here we can access the elements of the array by using their corresponding index values. Okay, by using their index values. So in that array we can use the index values. So here index values by default they starts from 0 onwards. The index value of the first element is 0 and the index value of the second element is 1. Next element is 2, next is 3, next is 4 and so on. Okay, so that means the accessing the elements can be done by using the corresponding index values. Okay, so here now I want to access the particular element in the set. How to do that here means here array name, that is k, followed by which element you want to access. You can specify the corresponding element index value inside the brackets here. Now k of, now I want to access the element is 25. the 25 index value is 3. So A is equal to k of 3. Now what happens if you write like this? What happens here? Means it represents the element 25 in the array K. It represents the element 25 in that array K. Okay, now that means 25 will be assigned to a value. If you print that value of A, we will get that value of A is how much? Means 25. So that means we can access the elements of an array by using the corresponding index values. Index by default, index value starts from 0 onwards. If there are 10 elements are there, means the index value starts from 0 to 9. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 up to last element index value is 9. Like that. Okay, this is the declaration and initialization. Okay, this is only static initialization. There are two methods are there. One is within the declaration, okay, and the second one is after the declaration. Okay, this is comes under only static initialization. Before compilation only you have to initialize an array, that is called static initialization. Next one is dynamic initialization. What is dynamic initialization? Means here the process of initializing an array during the execution of a program is called dynamic initialization. Dynamic initialization. The process of initializing an array during the execution of a program is called dynamic initialization. How can we do the dynamic initialization? That can be done by using the scanf statement. With the help of scanf statement. We know that our scanf statement is used to read the data through the keyboard during the execution of a program. We know very well. Okay, here also we can do the same here, but we have to put that scanf statement in a looping statement. Okay, you can use any looping statement, either while or do while or for loop, whatever your comfort, which loop you are comfort, you can use that loop here. You can put that scanf statement inside the loop. Okay, now if you want you can write the example here. So I want to work with the two 5 elements in the array. So how to initialize that here? Means here for I is equal to, you can represent the index values in the array. So that for representing the index positions in that array, I am taking one variable, supporting variable, that is I. So index values by default starts from 0 onwards here, that's why I am taking the I value is 0. How many elements you want to take into that array? I want to take only 5 elements here, so that I am using that 5. Okay, now I will be incremented by 1. Now what we have to do here, you have to write the scanf statement. Scanf format specifier for integers is %d. Then I want to read the elements into an array, so we have to use the address of operator. Address of k of I. K of I. That means before that you have to write that int k I comma k of 5. Okay, now for I is equal to 0, I less than 5 plus plus scanf percentage address of k of 5. What happens here? So when it execute the for loop here, I value is 0, it verifies the condition 0 less than 5, condition is true. When the condition is true, it enters into the for loop first time, it executes the scanf statement inside the body here. Now here, when the scanf statement is executing, it is waiting for user response. We need to enter some value through the keyboard. Well, for example, I am entering that value is 15. That 15 will be assigned to address of k of I, where I value is how much? Means 0. K of 0. That means whatever the value we entered through the keyboard, that value will be stored in k of 0 position in the array. Okay, after that, this is end of the for loop. Again the control goes to the increment statement. I value will be incremented by 1. After that it becomes 1 here, 1 less than 5, it verifies the condition 1 less than 5, it is true. Again the control enters into the loop, again scanf statement is executing second time. We need to enter one more element through the keyboard, so we can assume that element is 25. Now 25 will be placed in which place, which position? Means here I value is 1, k of 1. So 25 will be placed in, okay, index value 1 in the array. Okay, like that this process will continue. Okay, so we have to read any 5 elements through the keyboard. So this is the dynamic initialization of one dimensional arrays.